What's in the cards and the stars for you this week ahead, July 7th? Why you might be feeling so weird right now. We have a lot happening and shifting as the outer planets are going retrograde and having a lot more what's called moon void of course experiences. So we're going to dive into all of this, what you can do to avoid burnout so that you can be inspired by these moments that might have otherwise had you feeling like you were just running in place, going deeper into the mud, kind of like a stuck tire. As you hop on, give me a quick hello. Let me know where you're watching from. I love that we can be a global community and all come together to connect. And placing your hand on your heart, let's take a moment to tune in to the message that you need to hear that's going to help. Holy cannoli, that was wild. The energy is big today. I just got kicked out. Hello, Julie. Hello, Chrissy. So glad you're here with us live. There's a full moon in Capricorn. Mercury's getting ready to go retrograde in about a week and a half, and we're already in the shadow of it. So okay, it happened again. So if you can see me, if you can hear me, say hello, I can hear you. And before I even pull a card, let's take a moment to ground. Oh my God, the other thing about this too that's so hysterical, Uranus just went into Gemini, which you're like, what does Uranus and Gemini have to do about anything? Well, Uranus is the planet of electricity. It's a planet of chaos, spontaneity. And oh my goodness, we're going to make this work one way or another. Hello, Hannah. So glad that you're here. Let's say fingers crossed. We're going to ground. I'm going to get back into what Uranus and Gemini means in a second. So, bringing your attention and awareness into the very center of your heart space. Take a moment to recognize and validate your energy because things are going to be very electric and chaotic right now. We're in for a bit of a wild ride. And it's important you know how to stay grounded so you don't get burned out or fried. Imagine a beautiful golden column of light that runs through the very core of your body, from the center of the cosmos all the way down through the crown, the throat, the heart, the upper belly, lower belly, through pelvic floor, all the way between the legs, through six. This goes down through a layer of topsoil, subsoil, down through a layer of granite, a layer of fire, crystals, magma, all the way to the very core and heartbeat of Mother Earth, where you connect with the Schumann resonance and breathe. Anything that's in your space that's causing chaos, trickster energy, mischievous, anything that is essentially not serving your highest, flush it out of your space like you're flushing the toilet. And then take a moment as that releases to the earth where it'll be recycled into something of great beauty and fill back up with a beautiful rose gold light. And can you feel the shift already in the solar plexus? It's pretty cool. And breathe. Too often we hold our breath or we breathe very shallow during the day. And that'll send you into a state of fight or flight. It'll increase cortisol. Don't want that right now if we're not in a fight or flight situation. Good. And we're going to activate what's called the 10th chakra or the soul star. And for this one, I'm going to invite you to imagine about 10 to 12 inches beneath the soles of your feet. Good. Many of you know this already who are on with me. So you're helping set the energetic tone for the space and hold space to energetically show others how this is done. You bring your awareness to like a reddish brown ball of light, a clay color, an earth color, 10 to 12 inches beneath the soles of your feet. Breathe. So we can connect to Earth through the mycelium so that you can receive the information and the insights before the chaos really manifests itself in a physical way. It's a technique for really sharpening your spidey senses. Think of it like putting your ear to the railroad tracks kind of idea, where you can hear a train coming. Not that I've ever done that, but I've heard such things. Don't do it. But when you can feel something coming, or you can sense it before it actually happens, ooh, chills. So vital to really sharpen those intuitive gifts in this moment. Take one more breath. You can slowly open your eyes. Okay, so I am going to put, in case I got cut off with any of that, irenamiller.co/getcalm. This is where you can download a version of that grounding practice. It's my gift to you. You just go there and you can follow the instructions, and then it's a 2-minute audio that gets delivered straight to your inbox. I love this. This is my most requested practice, and it helps. And you're going to need to be grounded, because think of an electrical storm. If you're outside, you want to be grounded. You don't want to be near things that are attracting the lightning. And Uranus is lightning. It's electricity. And he just moved into the sign of Gemini, where he hasn't been for 84 years. Yes, you heard correctly. 84 years. 8-4. Not since 1941, June of 1941. And before that, Uranus wasn't in Gemini since like the American Revolution and beyond that. It can be times of chaos, a lot of change. So in order to not get swept up in the fear of the unknown or chaos, or sometimes just spontaneity, it's important to be grounded. Otherwise, we're going to end up burned out, running back and forth all over the place. Holy cannoli, let me see. Very cool. I just got a message that someone received during that practice, grounding, and they felt the vibration. Their hand chakras were activating. So fabulous. Definitely try this. Don't let the energy throw you, because what we're doing is we're getting a preview of Uranus in Gemini, what's going to happen for like the next 8 years, because Uranus is going to go retrograde in September, and he'll move back into Taurus's house in December. And all that means, for those who don't speak Astro Geek speak, is that we're getting a little sneak peek preview like we would at the movies. What's this energy going to be like? What kind of chaos and spontaneity might enter my life? What might I need to change? What I might need to change or adapt in order to make things work better. So thank you for your patience this morning, because the other thing to know about Uranus and Gemini is that they're reporting back to Mercury, because Mercury rules the Gemini energy. And all that you have to know about that is Mercury likes to have fun. Mercury is a little bit of a trickster. I always think of Loki from one of the universes. I don't know. I don't follow it closely enough. Is that Marvel? But, the Loki character that likes to have a little bit of fun, be a little bit mischievous and playfulness. But Mercury is the messenger, and Mercury is the only god, so to speak, that can move between the worlds, the living world and the world ruled by Hades. He is the messenger. And so, or they are the messenger, a very neutral kind of energy that they represent. So I want to invite you right now, stay grounded so that you can make sure that the messages you're receiving as well are credible, and that you're not just tuning and tapping into fear and unnecessary chaos. Okay, let's go ahead, and we are going to pull a card now that we're grounded and ask the energy, ask the ministry of electrical angels and internet angels to help keep our connection strong for us. I'm tuned to the angels. And as you do this, I'm going to invite you again, tune into your heart and just ask, what is the most important message that will give you clarity this week as you move ahead? And the thing that I love about the Magician card is that this is basically saying you have all the tools you need right at hand for success. It's nothing outside of yourself, it's nothing that you need to learn, it's nowhere that you're lacking. But in order to succeed and to move forward this week, trust that you have the tools and supplies that you need to make it happen. I think sometimes when we are struggling and we're frustrated or we feel lost and we see things outside of ourselves that promise a quick win or promise the answer, maybe it's not a quick win because I feel like most of you who tune in, you're not necessarily into quick wins. I seem to attract the people who like to take the harder route, which, hey, that's me. Because you know why? There's a great feeling of success and accomplishment when we get to the end. We're not looking for the shortcuts or the easy way out. We realize that for things to have meaning in this life, it's important that we pour our heart into the game and that we pour our heart into our work. We're not just looking to make a fast win. It's great if those happen. Don't get me wrong. We want to be in alignment with our creations. And that's what the Magician card is saying, is that it doesn't have to be hard. We can be efficient and effective, but we're not looking for the cheat codes because you've got everything right at your fingertips. So I hope that makes sense. It's very exciting when the Magician pops up because that infinity symbol on her hood also is reinforcing the fact of, this is a lifelong, eternity long type practice that we're engaged in. And there's so much more beyond this linear experience and this time. Okay, so the overarching energy of the week ahead, we are building towards a full moon on Thursday, full moon in Capricorn. So, my Moon Club members, we have a great moon ceremony this Thursday. And if you don't know about Moon Club yet, holy cannoli, where have you been? I obviously haven't been doing a good enough job talking about it. irenamiller.co/club. We are going to be doing a full moon ceremony in there to tap into the energy of Capricorn moon. And a Capricorn moon is powerful. She's ambitious. She is the boss woman. She is ready to build. Well, I want to say she's envisioning her dream. She'll get somebody else to build it for her because she's the one in charge. She's not necessarily. I love that the Magician card came up because that is really showcasing that Capricorn boss woman energy. She's standing in her power. I know what I want. I know what it's going to take to get there. And she has the drive and ambition to do it. Capricorn is connected with the symbol of the mountain goat. And mountain goats are tenacious. Have you seen the places where they can get? I love those images of like the goats in trees. And you're like, how did you get on that teeny tiny branch? What in the world? So irenamiller.co/club, we are going to be going deep into the sacred practices to tune into that energy of Capricorn moon and how to make the most of it. And I'm going to make, oh, holy cannoli, I've got tons of me in here. I am going to make one adjustment on my end. Bear with me just for a moment because I'm getting, there we go, getting a little heads up that might be causing some of the instability. Okay. The overarching energy of this week ahead, we are building towards the full moon. And as you're building towards the full moon, it might be tougher to sleep. You might feel a little anxious. You might be full of ideas. You might be a little restless. And some of that is just naturally we have more moonlight or light in general in the evening. We don't have those dark nights to slumber in. But there's also something stirring within us. There's a recognition that something is coming to a head or a culmination. There's that moment where we're like, okay, I have to wrap something up so I can move on to the next piece of the puzzle. If that is the case, I would encourage you to keep a journal by the bedside. Like if you have the inside of the moon journal, keep that by the bed. Jot down your ideas before you go to sleep. Write down the worries or the to-do list, saying, angels, please hold on to that for me so that I don't have to worry about that while I sleep. Maybe you even say, help me come to a solution or an understanding so that when I wake up, I have an idea for resolution, how to solve this particular problem or issue. So give yourself some grace this week and filter in extra rest times. The great thing about the extra rest time is moon's void, of course. Let's talk about that just for a moment because, get my little cheat sheet here, all day Tuesday, July 8th, we're going to have a void moon, of course, or moon void, of course. It starts Monday, today, around 5:30 p.m. Eastern. All day Tuesday, the moon is void. And then early Wednesday morning, she starts talking to other planets again. Thursday, right after the full moon, around, let's say, 4:40 p.m. Eastern, moon void, of course, all the way until early Friday morning. And then Sunday, we have a moon void. Of course, it actually kicks off on Saturday at 3:45 p.m. Eastern and goes all the way until Sunday night, about 7:45, and that's Eastern. So here's the thing. Why do I share that, and why is it helpful to know? Well, when the moon is void, of course, she's not having conversations with any of the other planets up in the heavens. The planets do something called aspecting, and we include the sun and the moon when we utilize that term planets, because planetary symbolizes or would translate into wandering lights. And so the moon and the sun are included in those wandering light definition. So we have the moon having conversations, making aspects, is the Astro Geek term, with all these other planets. But at some point, she stops having conversations. She's no longer making any aspects. And what that means is she's just kind of floating. She's not doing anything. And I love this saying from one of my teachers, if the moon's doing nothing, you should be doing nothing. Take time to rest. It's kind of like if the baby's sleeping, you sleep. Not that I ever listened to that back in the day. It's like I finally could get some work done. But rest, it's times for reflection. It's time for wrapping things up even, not for starting anything new, not for signing contracts or making big purchases. Why? Because we're kind of in this limbo state where we might feel a little weird. We might feel a little odd. We might feel like I'm trying to do things, but nothing's coming of it. That's another term that's used often with the moon void, of course. So if there is a situation where you want nothing to come of it, you can take action during that moon void, of course. Like maybe you want to make an appointment where you want nothing to come of it. Maybe you want to, I have a teacher who mails in her taxes at that point, moon void, of course, and nothing comes of it. Maybe you want to just simply say, I'm going to reflect on my business. Where do I want to go? And taking into account, we have a full moon on Thursday. I've got my little calendar I print out every month from my software with all my Astro Geek symbols. That's what I'm looking at. But Thursday with that full moon in Capricorn, we have a void moon all day Tuesday, July 8th. And so what that does is it gives us a moment to prep. All right, where am I going? What am I doing? The last conversation the moon has is with Mars. And she's having that conversation and she's saying, what are my ambitions and drives in life? There's some kind of friction point, something that needs to shift in our why. Like, why am I doing this? What is motivating me? Where do I really want to go? Where's my energy building? And there's some kind of reflection around that. There's some kind of wrestling that we need to play with to come to an understanding so that we'll be ready when the full moon happens in Capricorn. Because here's the thing, and that's the next conversation the moon has as she moves into Capricorn energy. Capricorn is very much an observer, very much objective, in the sense of they're not going to let emotions get in the way. They're not going to, I said there's no crying in baseball. They're very business oriented, kind of like, what good is crying going to do? Because, you know, we need to come up with a plan. We need to come up with a solution. Cancer moon people, stop crying. I always kind of give the moon in Capricorn a tough time because that's my opposite. I'm a moon in Cancer. And I'm like, how can you not cry? No, they can cry. They feel quite deeply, the moon in Capricorn. They just know it's not going to help the situation right now. Let's come up with a plan. How am I going to, how are we going to fix this? They are leaders. They have drive. They are ruled by Saturn. So they are very responsible and very proper. They're not going to just get all, down and dirty, messy snot cry in front of everybody else. They'll keep that for later on at another time. Whereas the Cancer moon will be like, wah, we can do a nice messy cry. Okay. So with that being said, right after the moon goes full, we have another void of course moon. So it's another time for reflection. You're like, oh, okay, wow, this has come to a head. I've got to let this go. I've got to close this chapter. And if I release this, where do I go next? What am I doing? What's my big picture? That's Capricorn energy. And then Sunday, we have another moon void of course. And that's right after, hold on. Dun, 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 dun. Saturn goes retrograde on Sunday. Holy cannoli. I forgot to mention that earlier. That's what caught my eye. Now get a load of this. Saturn, who rules Capricorn, she's going retrograde. Oh my God, I get chills. Thank you, angels. Making some connections right now. When Saturn is direct, it's kind of like we have a mentor or a guide watching over our shoulders saying, hey, you want to make sure you do ABCXYZ. Think of it like training on the job. You start a new job and you get a certain amount of education and guidance in the beginning. Like, here's what you need to do. Here's what to expect. You have questions, come to me right away. And then there comes a point where you're left all on your own and you have to kind of figure it out. It's kind of like you've been kicked out of the nest. Now you figure it out. Well, what ends up happening is it's kind of like the parents go away on vacation. Sometimes I see Saturn in retrograde like that. So this week with all those moon void of courses, what it's doing is it's helping you say, all right, let's talk with our mentor, so to speak, your angels, your guides, check in with the physical human experts in your world, maybe a little bit. But remember, you have, I still have it. You have all the tools you need. You have a level of expertise. You're getting ready to be set out on your own. And when Saturn goes retrograde on Sunday, it's basically saying, okay, now it's your turn to be in charge. Like, you're not going to have that mentor watching over you saying, oh, did you remember to dot your I's and cross your T's? And in my rush, I realized I misspelled something on the thumbnail. And I'm like, oh, stupid mistake. I'm so frustrated. I'll change it later. So anybody who watches the replay, it'll be changed. But it's annoying. It's like, oh, I was just moving too fast. And when Saturn goes retrograde, it's kind of like it gets a little quiet, in the sense of we're not going to have those mentors, whether they're physical or subtle, saying, psst, we still have connection to our angels and friends in high places. Don't get me wrong. But it's saying, okay, you've done the training. Now go out there, be on your own. And then about half hour after that, the moon goes void of course again. Lots of void of course moons because the outer planets are starting over in early degrees of new zodiac signs. So that's Astro Geek speak. That might be a little beyond our conversation right now. But hey, and that's another thing too. If you ever want a personal reading, I do offer them currently. I have a few open for July. I think I still have a couple left. irenamiller.co/stars. And you can sign up for a personal reading with me if you want to know how this is affecting you specifically, because, it can be hard. When Uranus is making these big changes, like, is it going to be changing relationships for you? Are things going to be getting crazy and chaotic there? Is it going to be happening with work? Is it going to be happening with your health and fitness routines? Is it something that's happening with resources and finances? It all depends on where he's going to be moving through your chart. Okay, let's break down this week day by day and first off, Monday, moon kicks off in Sagittarius. Now, with this moon in Sagittarius, know that a Sagittarian moon wants freedom. They need play, they need fun in the sense of, I think of the black stallion. Let me out, let me just run, let me explore. And they love to feel that wind in their hair. So if you need to kind of go on a little adventure, whether it's an armchair adventure, you're reading a book or watching a movie, give yourself that time and freedom and space to just feel the wind in your hair, to go on that adventure. I'm going to ask, how can you make the most of it? Oh, we get 2 cards. Oh, this is cool. So something is ending. We're getting ready for a new chapter, the death and rebirth card. I love this card because it says, okay, something really is coming to a close. Now, what's coming to a close? Well, it's going to be different for each of us. And if we do look at our natal charts, what the stars were doing on the day we were born, we can get some clues. And we can say, oh, okay, I see Pluto's transiting this house for you. Uranus is going through here. This is what the moon's doing. We get some extra insight. 7 of Wands came up as well, and that's saying you don't have to explain yourself or defend yourself anymore. She's strong in her core. Look at that solar plexus, all that bright, strong, beautiful golden light. She's like, you can poke at me and prod at me and try to knock me off my hill, but I know who I am. I know why I do what I do. I'll never forget, I had someone come to me for a reading, and I bring a different perspective to the way that I do readings, that I do spiritual practices, because I come from a very spiritual and ecumenical and Christian background. And I've spent a lot of time in contemplation and connection with God, with universe, coming to an understanding so that the practices I share with you, which I take very seriously, even though I present them in a playful manner, there's a great responsibility that comes with this line of work. And I would never, ever, ever, ever want to lead anyone astray down the wrong path. And that is of vital importance to me. This is soul level work. This is not something that anybody should take lightly or mess around with. Yes, we should be playful, and yes, we should have fun doing it, but it's serious work. Hello, Capricorn coming in. Saturn and Capricorn making their appearance. Responsibility. The seriousness, that's all Capricorn, Saturn influence. And I had someone that came to me who had been part of a very deep rooted faith in a non-denominational Christian church. And she wanted a reading, but at the same time, she was mad at God and had experienced one of the most horrendous tragedies in her life. And it made complete sense. But her faith basically was against everything that I do and I practice. But in her anger, she wanted to come to me for a reading. Like, all right, God has abandoned me. I will go to Irena and I will get my insights and information and connect with the other side. Well, you know what? I take that very seriously. And I was able to stand in my core and know, like, listen, the work that I do sits well with my soul. You have to come to your understanding and peace with God, universe, and I can be immediate, like I can assist, I can be a guide. I can help with the translation. I can help with the healing and the self-connection process. I can't do the work for you. I can't make the decisions for you. You have free will, but you can't just simply be angry and go against everything you've believed in the past and then get angry at me later after you do the reading and you realize, wait a second, that was against my beliefs. It is important that we do the work so that we know what we do sits well with our soul. We're confident. And I'm confident in what I share with you. I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly reevaluating. I have my checks and balances with my mentors to make sure that what I'm sharing with you is of the utmost and highest quality and the latest and greatest practices that I can find, because these sacred practices do shift because we change and evolve as spiritual beings having this human experience. The practices that worked 20, 30, 40, 100 years ago, they may not work in the same way. We're different as a species. So we're constantly evolving. And why I share that story with you is because I felt very strong in my soul to say, I can't do this reading for you until you feel well with your soul and confident that the methodologies you're asking for me to utilize and share with you, that it wouldn't go against your connection to God just because you were angry. I know that what I do, I feel very strongly about. And what I do is I just translate the messages. We translate the messages, whatever tools we're using, whether we're using cards or pendulums or crystals or the stars. It's just to help us strengthen our communication with God. Maybe we go through angels, maybe we go through saints, but essentially we're connecting with God universe. And so thanks for letting me be on my soapbox here a little bit, but just so you know, this is important to know where your teachers come from. And because it informs you on how they're teaching and what they're sharing with you. All right, if there's ever questions about that, just drop them in the comments and I can always go deeper, and we can do that in a different video. All right, Tuesday, moon is still in Sagittarius, but this is where we have that void moon. So I'm going to encourage you, Sagittarius, take yourself on that adventure, the what if game. Like, what if? What if I did this? What if I did that? Think of Indiana Jones with a Sagittarian energy. And what are the things that your heart and soul are being called to explore and long for? So journaling is great that day, but also kind of just getting lost in the adventure. Choose your own adventure kind of thing. What's most important that you need to know? It is a very creative day, and it can be confusing. So we can feel weird. We can feel burned out if we're trying to do all the things and nothing is working. We're not supposed to be doing deep, focused work. We're not being encouraged to try to build new things or wrap new things up. We're trying to simply enjoy the inspiration and creativity of so many different options and possibilities. It's a dreaming day. It's a what if day. What if? I wonder. Okay, so then we move into Wednesday's energy. And Wednesday, the moon moves into Capricorn, and she does that really early. So Capricorn moon, there's no crying in baseball. She's very serious. And she's going to give us a little bit of a feeling of her vibe before full moon on Thursday. And Capricorn moon is about let's be responsible. Let's be adults here. Let's take the big picture into mind. What are you doing? Where are you going? How are you going to do it? This isn't pie in the sky fantasizing or daydreaming. This is reality. Capricorn is about reality. They're very pragmatic and down to earth. They're going to look at the numbers. Okay. What do you need to know most about this moon? 3 of Pentacles, that you don't have to go it alone. Even though Capricorn is the boss energy, she's got a team. She has a community that she's working with. And this picture, I love this wonderful woman. She's down here and she's guiding and instructing, like, oh, lift the tapestry a little bit that way. Oh, add a little bit more red. She's the mastermind. She is the expert. So 3 of Pentacles pops up sometimes when we are looking for advice. We go to an expert, or all of a sudden you realize, wow, people are coming to me because I do have expertise in this field. I have been doing this for a while. So be mindful on Wednesday of where your expertise lies. And if there's any guidance that you're searching for as you're getting ready for this full moon in Capricorn. Okay, so Thursday, full moon in Capricorn. What's most important that you need to know about this full moon? Ooh, and 2 are popping out. Okay, so it is a time of letting go and of healing the old wounds and emotions and hurts. This is a halfway point. It's the 5. The 5 is that midpoint between the ace and the 10 in the cards. And it is a time of alchemy. It's a time of, are we going to move forward to the 6 or are we going to go back to the 4? You can do whatever direction you want. Maybe you go back to the 4 energy, like meaning I need more stability, like 4 legs on a chair. I need more structure before I can move forward with this big plan. The 6 is the creativity, but you're ultimately saying with this full moon, I have to do some healing work. And the Capricorns know how to stuff down their feelings and emotions because it doesn't really make sense when you're trying to get things done. If you're trying to have a conversation with a doctor or a lawyer or a business professional or, the person building your home and you're like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, it's like, okay, well, all right, come on, that's not going to help. What are we going to do? Let's sit down and look at the numbers. Here's what's within the budget. Or this is a realistic time or scope for the project if we're really looking at things. The other card that comes up is a strength card. You're stronger than you know. So as you're doing the healing, releasing work, dig deep. You have the strength and tenacity to get through this moment. You know what to do deep down inside. You have access to the tools and the practices. So you have that lioness courage. You can do this. Okay, Friday. Friday, the moon does start off in Capricorn. Yeah, and she moves into Aquarius later on in the day, about 1:21 p.m. Eastern. So starting off with that Capricorn moon on Friday. So still in business mode, still serious. I would say towards the end of the week, you can get, we're already halfway through the year. Reevaluate. What are you doing with your work? Where are you taking your career? What's happening with your business? What's happening in general? Big picture of life, 5-year plan, 10-year, 15, 20. Play with that a little bit. Okay, so Friday's energy. What's most important that you need to know about Friday? Okay. What gets, how is that? What gets measured gets, what's that statement? I hear it and sometimes it's in one ear and out the other. But what gets measured gets noticed, where you want to make changes. If you collect the data and you reflect on it and you say, wow, when I look at my numbers, I can see I'm actually doing better than I thought. Or, oh, I'm not doing so great. I need to change some things up here. But the other phrase that really resonates with me is where your treasure is, there's your heart. He's tending to his treasure. So whatever you want to see grow and expand, tend to that. Pay attention to the details, the numbers, get your data. And when you do that, that is what will prosper, or what can prosper. If we're not paying attention to the details or the numbers, it can cause a lot of fear. There's a teacher that I listen to that I think brings in a lot of validity when she says a lot of the fear and the concern and anxiety come up when we don't know where we stand with our numbers, whether that's our weight or our bank account or our, I don't know, whatever you want to put in there. So what you're paying attention to, what you're putting your energy into will grow. And if you think about that in the larger scope of the week, maybe that's also part of this full moon where you're saying, wow, I didn't realize that I was putting so much energy and time over in this area of my business or my career. And I was not having that time with my family or not having that time for my health or vice versa. Just kind of notice it's an evaluation time. Ooh, these cards are jumping out. Okay, so we did Friday. Saturday, the moon is in Aquarius. She goes void, of course, at the end of the day, having had a conversation with Mercury. Okay, so what do you need to know? Moon in Aquarius. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus in the modern day traditions. So there might be a little bit of electric, unknown, a little bit of spontaneity and wildness and insights, downloads, especially since that last conversation is with Mercury. I'm going to encourage you on Saturday, Aquarian energy does feel a little weird. It's meant to. Aquarian energy is different. They're the ones to help us experience the breakdowns for breakthroughs, to break us out of the humdrum, automated routines of daily life. Like, let's shake things up. Let's have some, fun. Let's do things differently. They're innovators. They're creative. They see the world in a totally different viewpoint. And they are the leaders in change. The rest of us, we can get kind of set in our ways. Like, oh, if it ain't broke, why fix it? But Aquarius is like, it could be so much better. Come on, let's give it a try. And they inspire us, but it can feel a little weird. So again, you do your grounding practice and you're open to some of these spontaneous surprises and opportunities that could come your way on Saturday. So I'm going to just ask, what's most important you need to know? Laughter. I'm going to encourage you to laugh. This is the Hierophant, and the Hierophant is in the traditional Rider-Waite deck, very serious and all about tradition. So I love the artist of this deck. This is the Light Seers deck by Chris Ann, and she just has this beautiful, playful, spiritual inspiration or guide. I'm going to call them here at the bottom of the stairs, helping to kind of light up a pathway, an invitation to get closer to the light, to get closer to the heavens. And so with this, the traditional card is very Saturnian and like, this is the way it's always been done. This is tradition, but very fitting that with an Aquarian moon, this version of the Hierophant comes up, which is saying, yes, there are traditions, there are things that we can respect. Yes, there's rules, but that doesn't mean they need to box us in or clamp down our creativity. So look at the confines, the boundaries, the strictures or structures, and find the creativity within it. I'll never forget freshman year in high school, I had this English teacher who was like, okay, write like a 1,000-word essay all about yourself, and you're not allowed to use the word I or like my or me. And I was so upset. It's like, how could you even do that? And it was a wonderful exercise because we all found a way. I think back to it, and it's one of those practices that really touched my heart. So you can run up against a rule like that just seems completely idiotic. And you're like, how can I write a 1,000-word essay about myself without using I? Of course we can. Of course we can. We're going to get innovative and creative about it and do things a little quirky and a little different. Very, very excited. Okay, or exciting, I should say. Sunday, the moon is in Aquarius still. Later on in the evening, she moves into Pisces, but we kick it off with Aquarius. And whatever moon we're waking up to, that energy, that's kind of what takes on the flavor of the day. So what do you need to know? The world. So again, it's about cycles. The world can be seen as a card of fortune and good luck, but it's also a cyclical card. And it's also saying there's something bigger going on that's faded, that's outside of our hands. So there are times where we feel like we're on top of the world and times where we feel like, whoa, I don't feel so great. This is just saying recognize the cycles. Not that we have to get stuck in the doldrums of like, oh, wah, wah, like if everything's good and it's going great, like it's going to end sometime, Debbie Downer. But it's just saying enjoy the good times, ride with it. And if things seem rocky, don't worry, they're going to pick up. This too shall pass. Things will change. Nothing stays the same forever. It really is about the energy. The bhava is what the yogis call it, our attitude that we bring to the situation. So there's great opportunities on Sunday that are faded, that are outside of ourselves, that are opening up the doorways to new experiences. And I'm just going to ask, okay, well, give us a little bit of a clue on like, what kind of experiences? She pops up again. Tell me more. All right. So when you feel overwhelmed with all of the options, when you feel like there is some illusion, give yourself a moment. You don't have to make a decision right now. Saturn's going retrograde on Sunday, so it might feel a little bit odd because it's kind of like mom and dad go away and you're in charge. All right. And Jasmine, hello. You said you had a dream. You said where I was growing in my backyard and falling into the grass. Wow, that's beautiful. Grounded. Okay. The dream practices are so incredible. I have a friend who does dream work. That's not one of my fortes, unfortunately, not a rabbit hole that I went down. But I do know, keep track of your dreams. Create your own intuitive journal. That's like a dictionary that says, when I dreamt of this, this is what I experienced the next day. But dreaming of the grass, that's that grounding energy, maybe even with growth. Different areas of growing within the world and within your world. Beautiful. Well, thank you all so much for hanging out with me. I love coming together and having these live gatherings. If there's more that you want to see or less you want to see, please let me know in the comments. In a very sweet and gentle, loving way is always great. If this has been helpful, please do share it with a friend. And liking and subscribing helps so much. I'm so appreciative of you and so glad that we could all be together. And Julie said, thank you. Sounds like a great week to plan and release. Yes. Most definitely. Most definitely. So much, much love to all of you. Remember, trust your vibes and follow your heart. And I'll catch you all on the flip side. Mwah. Much love. Bye, guys.